Hi guys, Jake here at D-Max Store, and we're going to be talking about our 2018 GMC Canyon again. So we've already done a bunch of stuff to this. We have Duramax tuner tuning, we just upgraded the turbo, we did a bunch of suspension work with Eibach, we did new wheels and tires. We've done a bunch of modifications to this truck already, so we want to really be prepared for anything that's going to happen. And a big problem with these transmissions is the shutter. If you look up 6L50 problems, usually a shutter concern will come up. So we kind of wanted to prematurely address that by doing two things. We're going to be doing a fluid change and we're going to replace the converter. So this is the RevMax billet converter. This thing is going to be way better than the factory one with the billet cover and just upgraded internals with better clutches and frictions and everything that's just going to make this last a whole lot longer. And this is really the solution for that 6L50 shutter for the transmission that backs up the 2.8 liter Duramax. And when we're throwing more power at it with that Duramax tuner turbo, we're making 100 horsepower more than stock. And so you kind of can see those weak failure points that are coming through. Start off with 180 horsepower, now we got 280. So this factory converter didn't have any issues yet, but we didn't want to let this converter strand us on the side of the road or lead to any further issues by sending clutch material through the coolers or the transmission and causing a bunch more stuff. So we're going to be installing this RevMax converter. Eric already dropped the transmission, got the factory one out. The spec for this transmission is going to be Dextron 6, so we're using the Transcend 668 transmission fluid. It's going to be a full synthetic. That's what we use on the 5 and 6 speed Allison transmissions, and it is great fluid. It has a long service life, and we rarely see any issues related to fluid when we're using the Transcend. We're also going to be using the AC Delco filter, so genuine GM parts all throughout for this service. The RevMax is going to be just a much higher horsepower capable converter, so it's going to be able to match up to that turbo really, really well. So we're going to have Eric go ahead and finish installing this RevMax torque converter, throw it back in the truck, get everything buttoned up, and then we'll see how it drives and let you guys know.
Put in a RevMax torque converter in this truck. They've had some issues with shuttering in the torque converters in this. We actually did have a code in this truck. So I did pull the transmission out, found that there was a rolled seal on the converter seal, which probably didn't help but exacerbate the whole shutter and the TCC. To pull the trans out of this is a little bit more unconventional, I guess, than your normal trucks. There's coolant pipes that run across the top. They want you to take the engine mount out and a bunch of other stuff to get through the starter, to get the starter out, to get the torque converter bolts. There's a sensor you can pull out at the bottom of the bell housing, and you can sneak them out that way, which I did. Saved a whole lot of time and effort. It's a little tight, but once you get the transfer case and the transmission out, it's really just a straightforward converter replacement. After getting the converter installed, I drove it for several hundred miles. I like the way it coupled with the converter without it locked up. It also was very positive, good coupling with the converter clutch. Being that it's a multi-disc billet housing on this thing, it just was tugged everywhere I went. Down through canyons, up hills, very good drivability in town. But I really felt that the high point was the coupling with it, with the converter clutch disengaged. After installing the transmission, we went from the factory fill of Dextron 6 to the Transcend, and it is so far doing just fine. Shifts are great, temperature's good. I don't see why they just didn't put that in from the factory. Transcend is Dextron 6 compatible and should see no problems putting this in your 6-speed as well. We did AC Delco filter change inside the transmission as well, just to keep everything fresh. It's usually a good idea when you change any components to drop the pan, change the filter, look for anything else that possibly you might need to address. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow us at dmaxstore.com.
For all things 2.8 LWN Duramax, go to dmaxstore.com.